Joining me now is Democratic Congressman from Wisconsin, Mark Pocan. Thank you so much for being here. So I want to, of course, start with the news of the day, Congressman. Arizona's Supreme Court upheld a near total abortion ban in that state. What's your reaction to this ruling?
You know, it's similar to what we have in Wisconsin, quite honestly, when Roe versus Wade got overturned thanks to Donald Trump's picks on the Supreme Court. We went back to 1849 law in Wisconsin. In 1849, we were taxing, horses with horses and buggies, and that law now is the law of the land in a place like Wisconsin. So it's seen as ridiculous by people, and I hope that they find every way to deal with it electorally or otherwise this year to overturn it.
Yeah. Well, I also now want to turn to another topic, and that, of course, is Israel. Yesterday, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said a date has been set for Israel's ground offensive into Rafah. What should the consequences be if Israel does launch that offensive into Rafah without a legitimate plan to protect the millions and millions of civilians that are sheltering there?
Yeah, I just was home for 2 weeks for getting around the district with town halls and meetings and some of the smallest communities in my district. And it was interesting. This issue kept coming up about Gaza, and people can't believe the carnage and the way that Benjamin Netanyahu has conducted his alleged response to Hamas. Instead, people see it as a collective punishment, as being overly broad, killing 34,000 people, 70% of which are women and children. And I think if he does this, a lot of us are asking for, and we did just do a letter with 56 members of Congress to the president to have conditions and no additional weapons transfers until we know what's going on, especially with the killings of the most recent aid workers from Chef Andreas's organization. Over 200 aid workers have been killed just trying to get food and water to people who are starving in Gaza. And this is not something that can be done in any way with the United States involvement. So, I think he should tread very carefully. Our support of Israel is a support of Israel, but it's not just a blind support of Benjamin Netanyahu in doing what I think people back in Wisconsin anyway don't support.
Well, I also, as you talk about sort of those aid workers and that, you're calling for the Biden administration to withhold the transfer of more military aids to Israel. Why is this strike, you think, on aid workers seemingly the last straw for so many in your party?
I think it really changed probably 6-8 weeks ago among the mass numbers of folks in the district, where people just can't understand anymore the continued killing and the amount of carnage and the destruction in Gaza. It's just this happens to be the most recent really foul example of an execution of a response to Hamas, because this clearly wasn't responding to Hamas. And it's just an overly broad attempt to, I think, clear out Gaza. And I think people have just had enough. And, what we're trying to do is make sure we don't have any additional weapons transfers. We want an investigation of this. We want to know aid workers are protected. And we certainly don't want U.S. weaponry or equipment used if there is going to be an invasion of Rafah. And I think those are all things that we're trying to express to the president. He has the ability to do a number of those things on his own.
Congressman, I want to ask you specifically, though, because Jose Andres has said he really is heartbroken that it took the death of foreigners for there really to feel like there was this shift after you had thousands and thousands, more than 30,000 civilians, Palestinians killed. So I wonder, could you talk a bit more about why this was different and what you make of Jose Andres saying that maybe there should have been a shift earlier when there were so many kids and Palestinians killed?
Yeah, I mean, part of it, please don't take this the wrong way, but as media coverage of what happened, I had these town halls prior to the bombing of his aid vehicles, and I heard these things. So honestly, it's not like people suddenly saw that and changed their opinion in the rural parts of my district where I was doing town halls. They already had a different opinion of what's going on. This is just one more really unbelievable example when you look at this. Aid workers who told the military where they're at, said who they were, and this still happened to them. That's just unacceptable at every level. And I think that's why just, the right full attention's on it. But honestly, before you all covered it, before this happened, I've already seen the turn happen in my district.
Yeah, well, of course, we have been covering it here at NBC News very closely before this aid workers were killed. But I take your point, Congressman. How concerned are you that this position on aid to Israel, pushing for conditions to possibly be put on it, that could backfire on Democrats, especially during an election year?
I'll tell you, it backfires if we don't do anything. We just had the presidential primary for Joe Biden, but we had 48,000 people vote uninstructed, which is the protest vote to say they're not happy with what's going on in Gaza. He only won by just under 21,000. We're a purple state, and every vote matters. And if people stay home or vote a third party, we have real problems. But this isn't just those wards that near the campus where 30 and 40% of the people voted uninstructed. Like I said, I went to rural parts of my district. I went to Edgerton and Monroe, Sauk City, Mazomanie, places that probably most people listening to your program have never heard of. And this is what I heard from, older folks who are coming to town halls. They have the same concerns. So I think we make a mistake if we don't listen to where the public's at. I think people are leading. Now we need to follow. And I think once we do, we're going to be in a much better place.
I also want to ask you, Congressman, among the lawmakers behind that letter to Biden pushing for conditions on aid to Israel was Congressman Jim McGovern. He is also behind a discharge petition to bring the Senate-passed foreign aid bill to the floor. You have not signed, so far as we can tell, yet. Do you plan to do that? Do you support the Senate version that includes money for Israel, Ukraine, and the Indo-Pacific?
I completely support the funding for Ukraine. In fact, I think 3/4 of Congress would if we can get it to the floor. The problem is that resolution has zero conditions on aid to Israel right now. That's why we're hoping that the White House can provide some assurances on that so that we can move forward, or just completely take the Ukraine funding up on its own. Like I said, I think 100 Republicans and virtually every Democrat would support that, including myself. It's being hung up right now because of the aid to Israel and what's happening. And we shouldn't let Benjamin Netanyahu essentially hold up funding that's needed in Ukraine. So we hope that there can be some direct action by the White House to help get it across the finish line by providing some conditions on that aid.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Congressman Mark Pocan.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.